Hey, I'm NichBoy, welcome to Pocket for Thursday, the 21st of July. Today on the show, Sir Valve of the Round Table, Dome Defense, and our mamas and our puppas. Alright, here's what's been making headlines. And first up, Valve's official CSGO gambling shutdown notice has made its way online. Let's break this down. Alright, so to start, it's headed with Dear Sirs, which assumes that women aren't into the whole running a shady online gambling ring for kids thing. Though clearly they've never met Rad.
I kinda like it.
What?
Sorry, I'm sorry.
The letter specifies that in order to move skins, these sites breach Steam's subscriber agreement. Consequently, Gaben has given them 10 days to close down operations. And yes, we all feel the sting of hypocrisy as Gaben recklessly assigns deadlines. There are 23 betting sites listed on the violation notice who will potentially face legal action from Valve if they fail to comply. Valve appear to be winning the war, but the battle rages on over at Twitch. The streaming site has issued a permanent ban to popular CSGO streamer Phantom Lord, presumably for continuing to broadcast skin gambling after Twitch changed their terms of service to ban the activity. Phantom's Twitch site now redirects to a notice which reads, "The community has closed this channel due to terms of service violations." And while Twitch will not go into further detail, it's a safe bet the old dog was performing the same old tricks. Rocket League is ready and waiting to become the most inclusive game about cars driving into balls that has ever existed. Psyonix Vice President Jeremy Dunham has told IGN that the studio has completed their work on cross-network connectivity between the Xbox One and PS4. The system could be up and running in less than a business day if Sony were to give it the go-ahead. Dunham said it'd literally take a few hours to propagate throughout the whole world, so really we're just waiting on the permission to do so. For those of you playing at home, John does not own an Xbox, so he literally could not care less. Moving on, and Shuhei Yoshida's Twitter account was hijacked. Things got a little strange yesterday afternoon when the president of Sony Computer Entertainment's Worldwide Studios tweeted #Xbox Forever from his official account. The issue was sorted out reasonably quickly though, and Yoshida has taken a trip to Montpellier, France to help him recover from the ordeal. Look at him, all happy and relaxed and in control of his social media accounts. Moving on, and do you want some episodic freebies? Of course you do! Well, have at 'em! Episode 1 of Life is Strange is now free to play on PC, Xbox One, Xbox 360, PS3, and PS4. The first ep in a 5-part series sees you playing as Max, a high schooler with superpowers. And for Windows 10 gamers, you can check out Episode 1 of Minecraft Story Mode for a grand total of $0. It's only free until the 30th of July though, so if you're into adventuring with cubic pigs, then you better go download it. And now it's time for Thing of the Day. Thing of the Day. Finding himself on the disadvantaged side of a 3v1 scenario in Destiny, Fimi Shake knew just what to do. The Defender Titan dropped his holy bubble shield and watched as all 3 of his opponents killed themselves by firing rockets into his hardened armor. GG.
Oh my god, dude.
Come on in, boy. Come on in, do it again. Come on.
Please
Make a
do.
third.
Yes! Yes!
Thing of the Day. I'm joined now by Goose Mangus for our talk through.
How you doing, Nick?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Sleeping?
A little bit.
Just a little bit. Today's talk through comes in from Ralph Beaver. Timing that for when you took a sip. How do you think your gaming has evolved in your parents' or family's eyes? And how have you grown up with that, especially now that it is your job?
Well, that's the big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
That we have jobs that we have to tell our parents when we go home, how was work? And you say, it was great, I played some video games, and their eyes glaze over and they move on to talking about the NASDAQ or something more
I
important.
just tell them I'm a prostitute.
They're
They're more
keep it
accepting
so
of that.
low,
Yeah.
so when they eventually find out, they're like, he's done alright.
Now, I brought you in because by the end of this, I mean, I know you have parents, and I know you have, let's say, a complicated relationship with your family. I want you crying by the end of this.
Okay, let's see how this goes.
How did your parents feel about gaming when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I found they were pretty nonchalant about it. You know, my dad actually got me into playing games early with a very early Mac computer. I can't remember, the 2E, I think it was. And so there were all black and white games on that he had on a disc, and
Those are classy games.
yeah, they were. There
Yeah,
were things
'cause
like
they're black and white.
Dark Castle and like Pigeon Racing and these, like, you know,
Yeah.
they were very, very innocent games back then. And so we had fun playing them. My sister and I and my dad would find new games on discs and that sort of thing. But he got bored of it pretty quick.
Because
And
he's an adult.
we continued to be really invested in these games, and so every time we'd try and like every time a computer would do something and suddenly go color, we'd be like, we want color games, and then, you know, eventually consoles, and you know, what happened is my dad dropped off, and then my
Wait,
sister,
what? What do you mean?
No, he dropped off being interested in games.
Oh, right.
No.
Okay, I was, so Dad died, and then my love of gaming died with it.
No, my dad, you know,
Yeah.
lost interest in it, and that's fine. And then I continued playing, and then we got some early consoles, and my sister, who was with me the whole way through, we'd play Mario Kart on the Super NES and that sort of stuff. And then eventually she's like, I'm too grown up
She
for this
died
now.
too?
She
Yeah.
died too in this realm of gaming, and she dropped off. And so I was the only one left.
Right.
And there I am, sort of holding the flag for video games, while my whole family has been like talking about the fact that we don't do this anymore.
The man-child.
Yeah, very much so.
The forever baby.
I'm the youngest in the family. I'm the only boy.
The tall fetus.
So, yeah, I had to continue to pioneer gaming against a torrent of anti-gaming from my family. I say anti-gaming, I just mean they just couldn't care about it.
But here's the thing, and like, it's not necessarily common knowledge, and you wouldn't know it looking at you. You actually have other skills. Because you're quite an accomplished editor.
Thank you.
You're very good at making graphics. You are...
I can launch a yacht like you wouldn't
Yeah,
believe.
you're pretty smug at taking compliments.
Yep.
So you were doing freelance editing stuff for ages.
Yep.
And then you got this job. How was it when you went, oh, by the way, now I'm just going to talk about video games for a living, where before you had something of a career. I mean, you have a career now, it's just...
It was funny because I managed to sort of derail my non-gaming career back towards gaming. And so, look, they were stoked when I told them I had this job.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it came with some very interesting perks. And, you know, they were happy for it. I have loving parents that have been nothing but supportive my whole life. So, of course, they weren't going to say, how dare you go and get a job in the games industry. I think their interest has started to drop off considerably over the past couple of years.
Wait, you mean it had dropped off? They like games, then it dropped off. And then you got the job, and they were like, we're back! And then it's been a couple of years, and it's like, oh, we know what he does.
They wanted to watch, and they wanted to see what I was doing, and they
Yeah.
had a way to do it. And so they'd watch the show, and they'd see what we're talking about, and they'd always say little comments like, oh, we love seeing you there, we don't really know what's going on, but
Yeah.
bright colours and sound.
Yeah.
And then they're like, now we mute it, so it's just bright colours. And then they're like, now we pour a stiff drink and just wait till you pop up on the screen. So,
and then the next one, it's like, did you watch Origin last night?
so now it's like,
I was on.
They're supportive, and they know this thing exists, gaming. But I don't think they're going to be asking me the hard-hitting questions about it in that regard.
It's interesting, because my parents...
Yeah, well, know about yours.
I mean, I got bought a Master System by my dad. I said this on the weekend. I got bought the wrong console, where everyone else got the Nintendo. I got the Master System, and I would play a lot of that. But I would play that by myself, and then got some computers and some other consoles and that sort of thing. But it was something that they. It's not that they didn't like it, it's just that they never engaged in any level. It was just like, that's something Nick does. My sister and I played a bit together. We would sometimes play that. We played Simpsons Hit and Run a lot, or Simpsons Road Rage, whichever one you're in the taxi and you're bumping into each other.
Older sister or younger sister?
Younger sister, keep your
Right,
hands
so
off
you,
her. Yeah.
no, this is the, no, I meant this is the thing where if you could sort of keep her interest in games, whereas my older sister, she was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, a game's not cool anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas-
I was the one. I was the trendsetter.
Yeah.
Like as such. Yeah. And so she was sort of interested, but then she fell off. And then I fell off video games for a while I was in high school. I had a PS2, but I played occasionally, but I wasn't, ravenous like I am now. So I think in my parents' eyes, they went, oh, we've just kind of fallen off games as well. Like from their opinion, I wasn't interested anymore. And then went through, got a career. They knew I really wanted to work in TV. And it wasn't until a couple of years ago where I was like, I'm going to be working on Good Game. And they go, oh, right, well, I guess you're always asking for games as presents and stuff. I go, yeah, and they go, oh, well, that's really exciting. Still never played a video game.
No.
Like, my dad is proud that he's never played a video game, but he knows everything that's happening because he watches every episode of Pocket.
Really?
He watches every episode of Good Game. He's sometimes behind, but he will watch it. Mr. Richardson.
Mr. Richardson.
He's sometimes behind, but he will watch every episode. My mum watches here and there, and then I've got 3 other parents, and they watch at various times depending on, you know, at what stage of a fight I'm at with them. But they love that I'm doing what I love. That's what they're excited for.
I guess I get a similar thing as well. Often there's those little jokes about, oh, I guess all those days sitting in front of the computer or playing games has finally paid off. And they're right in one way or another.
but not in a sort of... But they're
As
not,
they sit
because
at the
it's
other
like,
end of the mahogany dinner table,
But it's
sipping,
also-
like, drolly.
But it's also just like luck. Like, it's not
Yeah.
like I worked hard playing video games my entire childhood to get here. It was like I ignored my schoolwork and then I fell ass backwards into a job as an adult.
Well, here's the question I want to ask that I think like Ralph Beaver's getting at as well.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
there a point, and you said you dropped off during high school, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Was there a point in any time around that where your parents had to step in and say, stop? Or, you know, you're playing them too much. Because that's a parent's duty, is to make sure you're, you know, you're doing all things in equal parts and you're doing your homework and you're going outside and you're also having fun with your friends. Was there any point that you were into games to an extent that they had to step in and say, right, we're sort of drawing a line here?
Not necessarily. There would have been nights where, like, you know, I got GTA 3 or something and I would be too tired the next day. But it wasn't a situation where they were like, okay, you know, you can't turn it on until you finish doing this.
Mine did.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I had a serious time, which would probably be when I was in like year 9 or 10. So school was just really not into school anymore. Had video games. I think the original Xbox was coming out.
Yeah.
I was moving on from a
about
N64. So previously in the N64 era, controllers would just go missing. So
right.
occasionally controllers would just be gone. And
That's
I'm
so
there going
passive
like,
aggressive.
It is, and I'm like, Mum, Dad, where's the controller? And they're like, we think you need to do some schoolwork. I'm like, okay, cool, doing schoolwork. And then suddenly they would reappear. And I'd be like, great, the controllers are back. Now, do you think this motivated me to just want to do more schoolwork?
No,
It motivated me to find controllers around my house. So after that, when the Xbox came out, suddenly my Xbox controllers would go disappearing, and I would start rummaging around. And when I'd find them, it were these like fist-pumping moments of like, there's a bowl on top of the, yes, there it is. Plug it back in, get as much as I could in at that stage before they'd come and take it away. Until they then learnt an even
These
more
people.
ruthless way to stop me playing, because on the original Xbox there was a little dongle.
Yeah.
That meant that if you tripped over the cord, it would safety pull out the thing
Yeah.
and leave just a little bit between the console and your controller. They started to hide that.
Because they could carry that around their
That
pocket.
was so much easier to hide than a whole wrapped up, and the Xbox controllers were huge.
Yeah.
So hiding 2 of them in a house was an effort. There'd be like a lump under the rug or something. Whereas you just take these 2 little dongles, and suddenly it was like, oh, the controllers are still here. Oh my god, I can't plug it in. And
Stop!
they would occasionally do it if they were away for a weekend. They would do it on the Friday nights. And so they're like, bye, we're off for the weekend. I'm
But
like,
it's the weekend!
and I would say, bye, I'm just gonna, you know, get some work done. And I'd go over to the console and be like, no. And I'd ring them and I'd be like, where is it? And they were gone. I couldn't find it. This was tormenting. This was where the tears come.
If
Nick.
I was you, I would have saved up all my pocket money and bought a second Xbox that I would hide in the house. So when they're gone, it's like, aha!
So-
I got you. I've spent hundreds of dollars to fix this situation.
Easier solution.
Rent one for Video Easy.
Go to your friend's house who has another couple of controllers,
Oh,
and you're just playing a one-player game. I'll take your other controller's dongle adapter
plan.
thing. Go and plug it back in.
So let me get
Who's
this
the real
straight.
winner?
So let me get this straight. Your parents were worried that you weren't doing enough schoolwork, so took that and when they went away, and so you couldn't play the Xbox. Therefore prompting you to cross town by yourself
On a bike
as
at
a baby,
night.
like at night, not doing any work, getting mugged. That's very fair. The last thing I'll say about this is, for me, the litmus test is, because you've got a sister.
Yes.
I have sort of, I can't quite remember, it's somewhere between 7 and 11
A scattering of siblings.
brothers and sisters in various stages of step or adoption. But I've got one full-blood sister. The comparison to what she does to what I do. And she lives in America. She's a nutritionist, and she teaches Pilates and yoga. So she is a healthy, active, human being. But also at the same time, it's kind of like, oh yeah, she's following her passion and I'm following my passion. I work in TV. I've worked in TV for a few years, so I sort of always win the, Nick's in TV thing. So I'm kind of okay. Your sister,
I can one-up you again. Basically, we always had a running gag in my family that who was the golden child. It was very healthy competition. It was never taken that seriously. But
doesn't sound like healthy
if my
competition.
sister was doing well, it's like, oh, Emma's, she's got the mantle at the moment, and then I would try and one-up her. And then when it came to careers, at one stage, I was doing some pretty crappy work, and she was working in an office job that was quite successful, so she's doing well. And then I got this job.
Yeah.
And it was suddenly like, well, Gus is off making television.
Government employee.
Government employee. He's doing very well. He's sort of dancing around on the telly, and my sister's just got this office job and whatever. Within a month, she was studying previously to this. She then graduates as a paramedic. She becomes a full ambo. She drives out, and on her first week that I'm like, Mum, Dad, I'm on television, she's like, well, your daughter's just delivered a child into this world. She's gone out in a call ambulance, and she's helped birth a child. And it just went like that. And I'm like, I'm out.
That is terrible.
There is no way I can compete with that, and I wouldn't want to because she does amazing work, and she's a wonderful sister. But suddenly just, I'm on television. Well, she's saving lives.
I love this topic because we've learned your parents are super passive aggressive and hide stuff around the house from you, and they encourage a competition between you and your sister. Go, she's the golden child this week. Angus, do something special.
Save a life.
Incredible. All right, what do you guys think about your gaming passions? Obviously, most of you don't work in the games media, but if you have any sort of parental weird stories about your gaming habits growing up, let us know in the comments. And while you're on the internet, check out Good Game on Facebook, YouTube, and iView. Want to meet fellow Pocketeers? Then join the Pocketeers Facebook group and Steam group. You can follow Good Game on Twitter at Good Game TV, follow Pocket at NichBoy, at PRF, at GG, at Monkey, and at Sam Gee. He's at Goose Mangus, and there are links to everything I just said in the description below. Today's Thing a Day graphic was made by Jonah Shingles, which sounds painful. Thank you very much, Jonah. If you've made a thing, please send it in. While you're sending things in, I'm doing Ask Pocket tomorrow.
All right.
So if you have asks, send them in. You should ask something.
Yeah, why
You
not?
should do it. I'll put it in the show.
Sure.
I'll do it. Maybe that'll impress your parents.
Maybe.
Finally they'll love you. All right, until tomorrow, Nick, bye out. Mwah!
Goose out.
Is he crying yet?
Are we still siblings? What happened there?
Yeah. I was the golden child the whole time.
Oh, of course.
Leah, even being the paramedic.
Emma?
Yeah.
You really let yourself go.
Yeah. I look great.